So good evening to you as well, birthday lady, Pastor Phyllis Daley. I have a song selection to play for you. I want to welcome everyone. So let me apologize for Pastor Alexis Brown, who is not able to be here tonight. And so I'm here filling in for him. My name is Kellyanne Brown, one of the leaders of Ariel Family Church of Love. And I also want to use the opportunity to welcome everyone who just joined in on Facebook Live, and to those are all the ministers, the leaders, each and every one of us, one of you guys who are on Zoom. And so today is a special day. Today is Pastor Daley's birthday, 16th birthday, right, Pastor? So I have a song to play for you.
I'm singing happy, happy birthday to you. I'm singing happy, happy birthday to you. I'm singing happy, happy birthday to you. I'm singing happy, happy birthday to you. You look good, you look good, you look fine, you look fine. I hope you have a good time. I'm singing happy, happy birthday to you. I'm singing happy, happy birthday to you.
Yes, and you do look good and you do look fine. You look beautiful, woman of God. Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're most welcome. And so, oh, and by the way, just for those persons who do not know, tomorrow is Pastor Alexis Brown's birthday. So we have the woman of God who's today, the 21st, and tomorrow is Pastor's birthday, the 22nd. I also want to use the opportunity to say happy birthday to each and everyone who's celebrating their birthday in November. So we just wish you God's richest blessing. And so, Bishop, it is over to you and Pastor Daley.
Thank you so much, Apostle Kelly. We are very blessed and privileged to be here. Very special program. When it's your wife's birthday and you're on a program, it has to be something very, very special.
Indeed.
And we pray that as we share together tonight, that the name of the Lord will be glorified. Amen. I want to recognize the clergy persons that are online. I have recognized Minister Lenisha and also Pastor Patricia McPherson from out of Westmoreland. We're very happy to have you online tonight, and we pray that as we openly share together tonight, that the name of the Lord will be glorified. We're going to get right on with it, but before we do that, we want to invite the presence of the Holy Spirit. So I'm going to ask Pastor Phyllis to pray for us tonight before we begin. Pastor Phyllis.
Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, we approach your mercy seat with grateful heart. We give you thanks. You are indeed worthy to be praised. We lift up your name, the name that is above all other names. Let all the other names fade away till there's only you. As we come tonight, Lord God, we ask that you will hide us behind the cross, and that, God, you will speak your very self. As we avail ourselves to you, we ask that you will use us. It is not by might nor by power, but it is by your Spirit. It is not us, but you. Lord, this program, we will decrease so that you can increase. And we ask that, God, you will bless Prophet Alexis Brown and Ariel Family Church of Love, and also Bishop Devon, Daley, and myself, Tehillah Life Ministry. Lord, we ask that, God, you will crown us with your presence, and we ask that tonight will be a blessing to everyone that is listening, in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you so much, Pastor Phyllis. Now, over the last week, we have been talking about how to overcome the temptation to drift from your spouse. Last week we said that a lot of couples experience this disconnect, and before I continue, I want to remind you that you can raise your hand. It's a session where you can participate. Raise your hand, type in the chat so that it can be interactive. All right? No. No, last week we talked about how to overcome the temptation to drift. We said a lot of couples experience this kind of disconnect or this kind of drifting. We said it is how you respond and what you do to grow together as couples that matter. So, because the worry of or fear of becoming strangers can easily add unwanted stress to your marriage. And the worst part of it is when your spouses don't acknowledge that there is some measure of drifting. We said that growing apart can be terrifying, and it's one of the biggest fears that concern married people. And we said that there are married people around who have grown apart after years of marriage and contemplate how they became so distant from each other. We try to answer the questions: why do married couples grow apart after marriage? We said it didn't happen overnight. It happened slowly over a period of time, which could range from a few months to many years. We said it can be the small everyday decisions that we make, or the fact that we stop doing little things like showing appreciation to our spouse. We said that the biggest reason for drifting apart from your spouse is because we stop connecting with our spouses on an everyday basis. And then generally we said life gets busy, family conflicts, work obligations, health issues, loss of balancing friends and your marriage, etc., can contribute to drifting apart from your spouses. And we said that if persons are drifting apart, then we need to make the decision to stop it as soon as possible. We also outlined some signs that persons may be drifting apart from their spouses. One of the signs we mentioned is that if you feel that you don't care to sit and talk with your spouse, then it is possible that you are drifting apart. If there is any area of disconnect in your marriage, you may be drifting apart. We said if you had a sexless marriage, or if sex is very infrequent in your marriage, it's a sign that you are drifting apart. We also said if you get irritated or annoyed frequently with your spouse, then you are drifting apart. We said if you feel that you miss doing things with your spouses, like eating together and talking, then something is happening that you need to attend to. If you feel something is missing in your marriage, then you may be drifting apart. And if you wake up one day and feel that your marriage is coming to an end, then it is very likely that you are drifting apart. Your spouse is not giving you any attention. You no longer have any common interest, and there is much you can do about it. Then you are drifting apart when you feel as if all hope is gone. And can I tell you tonight that there are persons in Christendom that really have this kind of feeling, but they are afraid to talk because they don't want people to look at them with any bad eye. No, we ask the question, is it normal to grow apart in marriage? And we said that it is yes. However, growing apart from your spouse is not good for your marriage. And then we ended by saying that we have put a problem on the table and we want to propose some solutions. If you find that you are growing apart, how do you fix it? That's what we want to talk about tonight. The birthday lady is going to make her opening comments.
Good evening, everyone. We give God thanks for being in this session. It is really very impacting. There are people who are craving for it, and I want to let you all know it is not us, but it is God. I appreciate all the persons who are on. Pastor Lemisha, we just want to apologize that we were not able to make it to your conference yesterday. And we also want to recognize Patricia, Pastor Patricia McPherson, and the others who are on. We just want to say thank you for coming and listening. We are sharing our experiences. And as I said from we start this session, is that there's no perfect marriage, but we got to work towards it to ensure that it, reach, I wouldn't say perfection, but to a point where we can work together. And as Pastor Daley or Devon said, one of the things I want to really pick out among the others is the fact of when people are not appreciated. In marriage, sometimes I think things are taken for granted, and we should not allow that to happen. Because when we start be taken for granted, then there is also, that can be a red flag. And the other thing is that marriage just doesn't come apart like that. It's a process where little things, we ignore this, we ignore that. And sometimes the little things we ignore, we wouldn't realize that it affects the marriage so much. And someone would say, then is that little thing you're worrying yourself about? No. Whatever sometimes may be a plain to you is a mountain to somebody else. So we should never take for granted the fact that we need to appreciate each other. And my common thing is that one hand can't clap. I can't ignore my partner. I can't ignore Devon and do not appreciate, the things that he does. And the very same, if he starts ignoring the things that I do and fail to appreciate it, then that can create problem in the marriage. If we really want to continue to keep the fire burning in our marriage, is to continue to recognize each other, appreciate each other, do the things that we really need to do. If we fail to I would say recognize each other, then that can also create a problem. And there are some things that he made mention of that we need not to ignore as it relates to sexual intercourse and all of those things. These things can create problems in the marriage. But if the person has physical challenge, I don't think we should put pressure on them. We should try to work it out. There are different ways in which we can work this out. Do not allow it to become a mountain. And we need to understand each other. If I am having an issue as it relates to sexual performance, I want my husband to understand that I am having an issue and we'll work it out. But if he doesn't show any level, or if I don't show any level of understanding that there is an issue, then it can create problem. We have to understand it is for better, for worse. It is not until we find fault. We need to work it together. No one enters a marriage with the intention to end up in divorce. We all enter into a marriage to ensure that it works. So we have to work together. I can't be working and Devon not working. We have to work together. And if we work together, definitely it will work.
All right. Thank you so much, birthday lady. Now, the question is, what do you do if you have grown apart as a couple? Do you just allow it to slide and say, all right, I'm not interested anymore, or she's not interested anymore? Or do we just throw our hands up in the air and say, listen, my marriage is breaking up. There's nothing I can do. The man is growing apart from me. Or you just go around to your neighbor and say, listen, Devon. Phyllis just goes to her sisters and say, Devon is not behaving himself, he's seeing another girl. Do we just allow that to happen? No, not at all. We should do what is necessary to bring repair. Like we said earlier, if you are experiencing some kind of drift in your marriage, you are not the only one. There are others. It is what you do when that happens. No, the disconnect happens when you no longer feel a deep connection with your spouse because you are not connecting with each other every day. It is one of the silent reasons why many marriages end, especially when coupled with other factors like busy schedules, pregnancy, after a child is born, career changes, separation, kids' health issues, work deadlines, unexpected life, and other family events. No, we can't allow these things to pull us apart. We have got to find a way to come together. So because you are drifting from your spouse or your spouse is drifting from you, it does not mean that it is the end of the marriage. It is time to begin to do some work. And we're going to be telling you some little things that you can do so that you can reconnect. Phyllis, would you comment?
All right. It is necessary that before marriage, as we would have discussed in the program, it is necessary that marital counseling is done, because these are some of the issues that we face that some of us really didn't even know about. We went to counseling, but as I said in one of the programs, it is not every pastor is capable of counseling. And I think that we must be honest with ourselves. If we are not able to do it, then we need to refer. Because when you think about childbearing, when the couple start having children, the mother start to go through postpartum depression, that he don't even understand what is happening, that he's getting annoyed with mommy, all right, with his wife. Children are born, and mommy is taking up a lot of time with the children, which normally happens without some level of balance. These are some of the things that we need to really discuss in marital counseling. When communication breaks down and all of these things, we need to know these things before we get into marriage, because when these things start to unfold themselves, then it can create issue. I remember my pastor years ago. I have been saved for 42 years, and I heard my pastor would say that when you become a child of God, you receive an unknown bundle. And an unknown means you don't know what is in there. No, because you don't know, as life progresses, things start to unfold itself. Your spouse start to show things that you never knew about them. We are married in the next week and a half will be 29 years. I still do not understand everything about my husband, and my husband still don't understand everything about. So it is really working in progress. Marriage is hard work. So sometimes when you see people walk up the aisle, it is said that it is a short walk up the aisle, but it's a long walk through life. So when you sit in the pew, if you are not married and you really admire, nothing is wrong in admiring them. But then when that is finished, the real life starts to live and things are going to unfold. Are you going to say, boy, me never bargain for this, me I leave, me can't bother, me I go back to my parents, or me I go back to so and so? No, we have to work it out. We have to work it. We cannot allow the communication to break down. If that breaks down, then we are in for trouble. Because sometimes too, body language, for example, I might say something to my husband and he might show some level of body language which he really does mean, but I tend to read it differently. So we have to, these little things, do not ignore the little things that are happening, because it is like, how should I put it now? It's a crack. And if you continue to ignore, it is going to get wider and wider and wider to the point where you are unable to control it. So marriage, Devon and I, as I said before, will be celebrating in another probably 10 days or so. We don't have perfect marriage, but we try to work to ensure that it works. So I am encouraging those who are out there who are really falling apart. Find ways, get counseling, talk to others, and you cannot go to anybody to tell them about your business, because people will misunderstand some of the things. You can find people who you have confidence in, especially if you come to me and I am not married and you are married. Sometimes I might have never been married, so probably I might not have the answer. Find other people, feel them out. Not just go to them and tell them your story. Feel them out. Listen to them. Listen how they talk. Because sometimes by talking, you realize, hey, I am not in it alone. Here is somebody else going through it, so we can work it out together. All right?
All right. So we have been saying, if you are drifting, there is a possibility to reconnect. Don't allow it to just slide until it breaks up. There is the possibility to reconnect. Reconnecting with your spouse may feel like climbing a huge mountain, but the truth is it's not. Even if you don't know how the disconnect happened or where it started, even if you don't know where it started and how it happened, how the disconnect happened, reconnecting is not a huge mountain. It is something very easy. The thing is, you have got to be willing. First of all, you have got to want the marriage. If you don't want the marriage, because when I talk to people who are having challenges, I ask them a question: do you want this marriage? And if they say they don't want the marriage, it's not, you have to change course. It's not easy. You try to tell them that they should want it, but if you don't want it, you are not going to be able to reconnect. But if you want it, you have got to start intentionally spending time together every single day, doing something that is fun. For example, doing the dishes together, cooking together, and talking about things, going for a long walk, etc. Start to do something together if you want to reconnect. Like we would have said earlier, the disconnect took place because you failed to connect on a daily basis. It's a small thing that would have gotten in the way. So if you really want to reconnect, be intentional. Because can I tell you, life can be so busy. You have to go to work, you have got to send the children to school, you have got to take care of your household chores, and so many things to do that if you are not careful, you don't have any time for yourself or your personal relationship. So it has to be very deliberate. Be intentional about spending time together. And last week I said it doesn't have to be a whole lot of time, but when you get the little time that you are going to put quality into it, because we've got to be wise in these days. So if you want to reconnect, start by spending time together on a daily basis. Don't allow it to be every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks or at the end of each week, because when you wait until the end of 3 weeks or the end of a week, when you are going to come back together, you have to start all over again. But when you do it on a daily basis, what is going to happen? You are going to be building on where you left off yesterday. I'm going to ask Phyllis to make her comment on this one, the birthday lady.
Thank you. Sometimes to maintain the connection with some spouse, it's not easy. Some people are really, really hard to live with. But the fact is that you have already made the commitment, work with it. In order to reconnect, as Devon said, spend time together. Sometimes I like novelty. I said that last week. Sometimes being in the same space all the time can sometimes be a little miserable. Try being out with your spouse by yourself, whether a hotel or for dinner, and it feels so different. So in order to maintain or to reconnect, we have to ensure that we want it. If you don't want it, then it is not going to work. If you feel that you are disconnecting from your spouse, and as Devon said, if the first thing he asks, do you want this marriage? You have to want it for it to continue. If you really don't want it, then it is not going to go anywhere. I am encouraging us who have been married and those who are going to get married, make sure that regardless of whether you have children or not, if you have children, for those who might have young ones, just married and have young ones, my encouragement, as I said before, if you can afford a nanny, get a nanny. If you have family members who are able to help you, let them help you with the children. I remember there were times when before my sister migrated, there were times on holidays she would say, send the children come. And that helps so much. It is not because I really wanted them to go, but it was necessary because we needed to have time for ourselves. Quality time together is important. I said when you get married, when you close your door, it is only you and your spouse gonna be together. And it doesn't matter what is happening on the outside. I would advise also that you don't carry things in your bed. When I am at work, I remember I was working as a counselor and there was an issue, serious issue, where a sister kills another sister. And at that time, the cousins, the sister that kills the other one, their 2 children were coming to school. And it was so devastating. When I finished the counseling, once I step off the compound, it is left behind. Do not carry your work into your bed. It doesn't matter what issue. Don't carry your work in your bed. Don't carry your problem in your bed. When you get into your bed, it's your husband and yourself. Communicate. I don't mind if I get up in the early morning and my husband wants to talk. I don't have a problem talking because in those times it is so quiet. There's tranquility. You can talk. And if you start to carry problems in your bed, 1, you're not going to sleep. 2, you're not going to have no time to listen to what your husband is saying because the burden is on your head. Leave the problems out of your bed. We come here because the problem and we are going to die and leave it. As I said, Jesus passed through Nazareth one time we now come back here. So make sure that your marriage works with God. And the only way it's going to work is if we put God in the center of our marriage.
All right, so we have said that the first step is that we are going to be spending time together. We're going to be deliberate with this, time together on a daily basis. You know, it just came in my mind. I watched a little video clip on Facebook some time ago where a husband wanted to divorce his wife. And the wife said, one thing before we sign the paper, you every night, you lift me up and take me to my bedroom. That's what you used to do when we just started. So do that for me every night. And you see, before the divorce papers were signed, the husband fell back in love with his wife. So spend time together. Then the second thing, cheer each other on. Share your successes together as well as the struggles. This goes a long way with sharing your personal goals as well, but even more in your everyday life. In other words, be each other's cheerleader. So cheer your spouse on, because when you begin to drift, what begins to happen is that the negative begins to manifest themselves. And if you are not careful, we begin to pay attention only to the negative. So find something to cheer your spouse on with. There must be something that you can cheer about. There must be something positive in the relationship. Now, ladies and gentlemen, very, very important, because some spouses don't cheer each other. What they find is really the negative.
Yes, that is very, very important. Even if you are the only cheerleader in the stadium, cheer your spouse on. He has made some achievement, cheer him on. No one in life can have just the negative. It can't be all bad. There must be something good. Because you see, as the word of God said, there is life and death in the power of your tongue. And if every day you get up and you say, boy, I can't take him, I hate him. If every day you get up and just highlighting the negative, then that is what is going to permeate the atmosphere, and that is what the devil wants. But even when there are bad things, let us try and find something good to cheer our partner on. Because if we don't do that, then somebody else is going to see the good in him and cheer him on. And before you know it, he starts to lose interest in you, and you find out that he's going out. The problem, worse if he's a person who never really used to go out, you find out that he starts going out. You find out that he's on his phone more often than he talks to you. Those things are red flags. And we have to massage each other's ego. No, if he does something, you can't be so insecure that if your husband or your wife has achieved something, well, at work, she might be the for the week, however they highlight her for the week. Come on, do something. Whether you're going, if you don't even have it like that, which we declare in the name of Jesus that we have, because no good thing will he withhold from them that walk upright. You take her out, or she takes you out. We go have dinner celebrating the achievement that your husband or your wife has gained. If you can't spend time to massage the ego of your spouse, I said it already, somebody else is going to massage it. And can I tell you, the workplace can be very toxic. And that is where you find out when you are absent, when the cat is away, the mouse will play. They find out that your husband or your wife is looking so good, coming to work, you are not cheering on, you are not massaging the ego of your spouse. Trust me, when they go to work and it is massage, because that's where they spend most of their time, they go to lunch together, they start to do everything. Then before you know it, something starts to fester. And it doesn't mean that if you massage your ego, it won't happen. But it will be less, because they're going to realize that, well, my husband loves me or my wife loves me. So it makes it easier for them to reflect on who they have at home. But if you are not doing your work, then something is going to split. Something is going to give way.
All right. Thank you so much, birthday lady. Now, we have said so far that if you are going to reconnect, you have to spend time together, cheer each other on. And then thirdly, we are saying, observe and appreciate the good qualities of your spouse when it comes to them as a person, a spouse, and as a parent. There must be something good in your spouse as a person. There must be something good in your spouse as a spouse, as your mate, and as a parent. Very often, that parent is a good mother or a good father. Commend them for the good father or the good mother they are. The good wife, the good husband. They have beat you. Them carry you anywhere you want to go across Jamaica. They might not be very domesticated, but then we take you anywhere you want to go in the country and will do anything for you. Commend them. Let them know you appreciate it. In other words, bring to the fore the things that are positive. Don't elevate. Don't bring to the table the things that are negative. Talk to them about the good things. Let them know that you appreciate the good qualities. But very often it is very easy for us to have eyes for only the negative. Make sure if you are losing ground, if you are drifting, make sure you appreciate, highlight the good qualities about your spouse as a person, a spouse, and as a parent.
That is so correct, Rev. If we are really going to make it, we have to highlight. I said it before, but I'm reiterating. It cannot be that you are just seeing the negative. Even if you highlight something that is negative, the negative should not outweigh the positive. Find the positive things in your spouse and highlight them.
All right, that is so true. No, Phyllis and I don't want to be just talking all night. We want you to put your questions and comments in the chat. Put your questions and comments in the chat so that you can add to the discussion. We have said that to reconnect, you need to spend time with your spouse on a daily basis. You need to cheer your spouse. You need to observe and appreciate the good qualities about your spouse when it comes to them as a person, as a spouse, and as a parent. And then we also want to suggest that you can write love letters to your spouse. Write a love letter to your spouse. Now, when your spouse receives a piece of paper that you took time to write or type, all their feelings and everything, they appreciate you, and your efforts can mean a lot. So spend some time. Some people are not good at talking, so write it down. Tell your spouse, darling, I love you. Roses are red, violets are blue. Sugar is sweet, but not as sweet as you. Give them some serious love verses in that love letter. I want Phyllis to know, respond. Give them some love verses. Speak to them intimately in that love letter or that love note. It could be an audio note. Go ahead, Phyllis.
All right. if you don't have enough words, just check Proverbs. Proverbs, Songs of Solomon. Proverbs is there to help you with the words that you need to say to your husband or to your wife. Sometimes we have to revisit where we are coming from as it relates to courtship. I would like to take some of us back to the place where we were as it relates to courtship. Then we get married and we start loving each other. Sometimes we have to revisit those days and to bring back to memory. Honey, remember when we used to do so and so, when we used to do, yes, I agree that more responsibilities have come on the table. You have children, you have work. But look here, they say no work, no more, and
all work and no
all
play.
work and no play make Jack a dull boy. We don't want to be dull, Mrs. Jack and Mr. Jack. We want to ensure that we make whatever God has given us to work. The word of God says, whatever God has joined together, let no man put asunder, neither man, woman, boy, things. We have to ensure, first, God, second, your spouse and yourself, and then church. Everything else comes after. At the end of the day, you must want to say, when God takes either of us or either of your spouse, you want to ensure that you did what you should have done. You really don't want to know that you are left with guilt. Boy, me should have do this, me never do that, or me shouldn't do this, or me should have do that. It makes no sense because the person is no longer around to listen to you or to respond to you. I am sending a warning to those of us who are married. Do the best you possibly can for your spouse, because tomorrow, no day, nothing, tomorrow is not promised to anybody. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. Live your marriage today as though you were married today. Allow God to be the center. I can't say that enough. Because if you think the devil is going to sit down and allow your marriage to be smooth sailing, if we don't pray, if we don't fast, the family that prays together stays together. Yes, we agree that there are times when we get busy, we really don't spend the quality time in prayer as we should be as spouses. But what we should do, this is what the enemy wants. You don't spend quality times together. You think he knows that. So he brings in a little thing. And because you're not spending quality time with your spouse as you should spend, you get so annoyed easily. So I am saying to us, let us try to spend quality time together.
And it's okay to write that love letter. Here is our 2 questions, comments in the chat. What if one spouse is the one doing most of the cheering and is now getting tired of doing it because the feeling is not being reciprocated? No, my wife always says one hand can't clap. If you want the marriage, both of you have to want it for it to work, It can't be a one-sided thing. So we are speaking not only to one persons on one side of the fence, we are speaking to persons on both sides. One hand can't clap. So if it's only one person doing it, then that person will certainly get tired and burnt out, and you are putting the marriage under pressure, and that should not be. Now the other comment, let me have Pastor Daley respond to that and then go to the second thing in the chat.
It can be overbearing if one person is doing it, one person is doing the cheerleading. I would say it is overbearing, but sometimes by constant doing it, I know you're gonna get discouraged sometimes. Sometimes it's by constant doing it. Sometimes God use you sometimes to turn things around, We generally say sometimes things do not change, but we have to change in the situation. For example, your husband or the wife constantly allowing you to do everything. Continue to do it. One of these days, he might just realize in himself, but my God, all along I was, or God allows something to happen that really awakes him. You might even travel away and he recognize that, boy, all the work is left on me. It's not easy. No, I understand what my husband was going through. No, I understand what my wife was going through. And then probably even that might change the situation. I would say to you, it's not easy for you to continue to be doing the same thing over and over all by yourself. Previously, Devon spoke about, in order to have the reconnection, wash the dishes together, cook together. You know, many hands make work like. No, if Devon and I wash the dishes together, if it was 6 plates, it would be easier. We both watch 3. No, if I am watching the 6 alone and you are there doing your own thing, then I am going to get tired. So guess what? When night comes, our day comes, and you really want to use I would say, not use, I don't want to use the word use. When you want to have sexual relationship with me, then I'll be too tired. And then no, it will create a problem, because I might say I'm tired and you don't understand. Come on, we need to work the thing together. And as previously the man said, I miss that. The love letter. Sometimes you can just send a note on your phone. It is not like first time when we have to use Telegram or the post office to send one letter. When Devon and I were 14, he was way in the western side of the island. I was way in the eastern side of the island. I had to be waiting anxiously for a letter to come. Now technology is here. Just a touch of a button and the person gets the message. If you don't want to write like myself, send voice note. He will hear, she will hear. We have to do something. You don't want to make your life unhappy all the time. You have to find something that makes you happy and makes the marriage work.
And don't allow it to be one-sided. If it is one-sided, it is going to break down. Now, here's the second question. What if the wife tells the husband that he's not cheering her on and he's not paying attention to what she's saying? What I would say, keep doing it. But I would say to the husband, listen to your wives. Men, listen to your spouses. Listen to their feelings. It's very easy to ignore your spouse's feelings, but don't do that. Cheer her on, because as Phyllis said earlier, if you don't cheer her on and she go down to work, and a nice gentleman with 6-pack begins to cheer her on, or when she born again, sanctified, speak in tongues, you will lose her, and you don't want to lose your spouse. You want your marriage to be peaceful. You want things to work in your marriage. So it cannot be one-sided. If it is one-sided, it will crash.
I would want to take this question or this statement. What if you as a wife telling the husband that they're not cheering you on? No, a word to the wise is sufficient. No, if that husband is not cheering, if I come to my husband and I keep saying, honey, so and so and so, for example, I am at work and I am not getting the attention that I should get at home, and I keep saying to you, doing things for you to really see that I need attention, and you are not paying me any mind, you're pushing me out there, and it might sound like a scratch, but I want to tell you it's the reality. Pay attention to your wife. Your wife is saying, husband, you're not cheering me on. Listen, cheer your wife on. Wife, cheer your husband on. When nobody else is in the arena, say it already, when nobody else is in the stadium, you need to be there cheering on. Go on. You have ever seen race, even when Usain Bolt is running and they might be in another country, those who are there in the stadium cheering on, not to mention us who are here, You got Alpha Tree, the big TVs there, everybody cheering on. Come on, we need to learn to cheer. When nobody else can cheer them on, the responsibility is on you. The onus is on you. The onus is on the wife. The onus is on the husband to cheer you. When you cheer them on, you know, and they achieve, you supposed to achieve. It's not one hand to say, all right, I have achieved, and it's me, myself, and I know. It's both of us. So when you win, I win. So if you are going to allow selfishness to come in the mix, that is going to create problem. You need to cheer on your wife. I am responding to the statement made. You need to cheer, husband, cheer on your wife. Wife, cheers on your husband.
And don't allow it to be one-sided. Be very conscious of this. If it is one-sided, it is going to crash. So we have been talking about reconnecting. If you have drifted, we have said that you need to spend time together. You need to cheer each other on. You need to observe and appreciate the good qualities of your spouse when it comes to them as a person, a spouse, or as a parent. And we are also suggesting that you write your spouse a love letter. And if you have a challenge writing the letter, send him or her a love note, a voice note, or just find a lovely love song. Honey, you are my shining star. Don't you go away. Just send her a nice love song.
Oh, yes.
Yes, send her a nice love tune. Give her the tune, man. Give her the tune. Don't you go away. Some of us, and as Phyllis say, you can go to Proverb and get a love verse from Proverb if you don't know any. But if you want to learn, if you have children, let them direct you to some love verses. They know a lot. They are in touch with what is happening around. And then we are also proposing that you do volunteer work together. Giving back while spending time together is a great bonding experience. Now, make some meals, hand them out to the homeless, or volunteer at a shelter. Go down, both of you go down to the infirmary or to a children's home and do some work there together as a couple. It will help you to reconnect. Volunteer together. You both have the opportunity of doing something selfless while growing your friendship and connecting. Phyllis talked about the workplace. When people are thrown together to work together on projects, it is very easy for them to be connected. So as spouse, do things together. Volunteer. Most of us, if not all of us online, we are church people. Tell pastor or the church administrator that there is something that you see and you want to do it together as a couple.
All right. Time elapses very fast, and it is necessary, as Devon said, do things together. I said it before. If you have children, find somebody to really assist you with the children so you can spend time together. Last week I said to you, when the children are gone, you and your spouse are going to be left together. And you know what is going to happen? Because you didn't spend time together, when everybody gone, you both are total strangers. Probably you might be wondering who you are living with because you don't know this person. You have grown apart. The crack has broken out, has widened so much. The gap has widened so badly, so that when everybody is gone, two total strangers are together. Now, I am saying to you, make sure that your marriage, you enjoy. There are going to be trying times. There are going to be difficult times. There are times when you are going to to be at loggerheads. There are times when communication is going to break down. But when these signs are coming, you should know that they are coming and find ways to deal with them. As I said before, you don't want to live in this world unhappy all the time. You're coming home from work, but you know, but I want to come home because you're really not comfortable with the man that you said a couple years ago, I do. No, you don't want that. In the workplace, out there, very, very, very challenging. Sometimes can be hard. You're hard pressed on the outside, stressed. When you come home, you must want to come home to the person who you say I do to. When you come home, you can't even wait for work to finish for you to come home. Earlier on in this program, we even talk about our own sexual activities. You start these things, I'm saying it again, you start these things even before you reach your partner. The little words you send, Devon just sang, honey, you are my shining star. We don't want to be singing stealing love on the side. We don't want to be doing that. We want to ensure that the love rekindles. And on every day the fire will burn. It's not every day the fire is going to burn.
What do you mean by that, Phyllis?
It's not every day you're going to really in love. It's not every day you're going to feel like you want to have sex. But I would say to us, let us keep the flame a burn. Keeping the flame a burn, I said, let Jesus be the center. Keeping the flame a burn. Keep the communication going. Keep the flame a burn. It is going out together. I know some of you can testify to the fact that when you are married, when you go to different places, you feel, or even when other people are getting married, you as persons who have been married for a long time, wedding is also a good way of rekindling. When both of you go and you see others getting married, it reminds you of what was happening in your life. And if you are not careful, when you go home, it feels like you just get married. So everything that you can use to ensure that this flame burns, that the sexual flame burns, that the communication flame burns, that everything burns together, we have to ensure that it works. And it cannot work with one person. That will work with both.
All right. So we are saying if you are drifting, it is not a death sentence on your marriage. You can reconnect. And we have given some tips. We want to continue. We want to say start a weekly gratitude journaling together. No, start a weekly gratitude journaling together. And when you do that, what you write, the gratitude journaling, whatever you would have written, then at the end of the week, read it. Read what you said about your partner to your partner and vice versa. That will help to put back a little flame in the thing. Because a part of the challenge, is that familiarity breeds contempt. Since you are accustomed to each other, you've got to do things to keep yourself going. So start this weekly journaling, gratitude journaling, saying, thank you, darling, for loving me. Thank you, darling, for doing this, or thank you, darling, for doing that for me this week. And when you read it to each other and your spouse reads it back to you, then it will cause you to reconnect. Now, here is a question in the chat. What if one partner would love to cheer their partner on, but no matter how they talk about things, they would like their partner to pay attention to? Their partner keeps ignoring them. It can feel like looking for the needle that is the positive in a haystack of things you ask, that some attention be paid to. How does one deal with this kind of situation? I'm going to let the birthday lady answer.
I would say to the person who asked the question, it's not easy. I am not going to pretend as though it is easy to deal with. Nobody wants to be ignored. Nobody wants to know they are not getting the attention that they really need to get. everybody wants to know they get attention. And you know, some of these things do not happen overnight. And I would say to some of us who are growing our children, we need to ensure that they are properly grown, in the sense that show them affection, because you see these things come back to bite wives and husbands, because they were not properly, I wouldn't say properly, they were not given certain things in their lives when they're growing up. The mother never hugged them, father never hugged them, they never tell them they love them, they ignore them as children. So when they grow up, they really don't know how to appreciate. You on the opposite side might be grown in affection in a home where there is affection. Your parents love you, your parents hug you. Now you come to this marriage expecting the same thing because this was how you were grown. Now you might be flagging a deadlock because this person might not be grown in that way, and you are giving and giving. It's not easy to be giving. I use the term again, one hand and not clap. It takes both hands to make the sound. And some things, yes, you were not grown that way, but some things you can emulate. You look on and you see how other people live them life. You must emulate it. When I was growing up, my parents never had it to send me to school, but I got saved early. I watch how other people grow their children, and I said, no, I am not going to be left behind. I said it already. No, you can emulate. You see other couples out there living. Come on, say, boy, this is how I would want to live my life. Ignoring your spouse is not a good thing. Women love attention, and I'm saying that to men. Women love attention. Women like to be hugged. Women like to be told. Kissed. Yes, and women like to be told that you are beautiful. Women like to be told that when you put your clothes on, your wife, your husband say, boy, honey, you're looking good. You're looking stunning. You don't tell me, somebody else tell me, oh, their problem. So I am saying to the husbands, pay attention to what your wife is saying. And I'm saying to the wives, pay attention to what your husband is saying. Marriage can work, but if it is only based on the fact if you want it to work.
And what I'd say to the person that might need, if you are looking for a positive like and it's not coming, and you are not, it's pulling on you, you might need intervention from a neutral third party. And that is where a counselor, pastor, a social worker will come in. So maybe in that instance, you need intervention, because some of the things we can't bear on our own. And that is why as a church, we need to be having forums like these where people can express themselves, because sometimes I know people don't know, you know. Sometimes the dark people dark, because what you really have some really dark people dark. I'm very sorry to say it, but dark like midnight, don't have any knowledge. The Bible says people suffer because of a lack of knowledge. So we have got to expose people to these things, because sometimes when you talk to some people and say, "We never know, I had no idea that this was the case."
But you know, before Devon mentioned that sometimes, you know, you need to have forum like these. And I was thinking differently as he was thinking, that sometimes you need to have women's group, not only in a church, from different, just like we're having this forum where women are able to express themselves and to say certain things that are affecting them. Some women might not want to say it before their husband, and some husband might not want to say it before their wife. So it is necessary too that men group. I remember when the pandemic, Devon, they had a men's group that they were talking about how the pandemic affects them. No, I believe that, I don't know who the Lord might be speaking to, we need to have a women's group, not only in your church, as I said before, where you can express some of the things that are affecting you in marriage, and the same thing for men. Because as the man says, some people just don't know. They just don't know. And not only that, some of them not willing to learn either. They are bent in their own ways. This is how I know it, and this is how it is going to go. That's rubbish. If you want your marriage to bloom, you cannot be bent in your own ways. You have to find ways to get out of your own ways. Watch other people who have their marriage. It's not everybody that comes into public and you see kissing up and behaving all kind of ways and kind of giving the impression as though everything is all right. Sometimes everything not all right, but you know, some of us love show. Some of us love show. We love to come out and make everybody see that, okay, everything, but check closed doors. We don't only need to bring it out. It needs to start in the home and move out in the public. So I am imploring us, let us find ways for the marriage. Let us give a blow to the enemy under God so that marriages can work. I am trying, my husband and myself are trying to put it out there. We never had anybody to guide us. We never had anybody to tell us all of this. It is through our own experiences why we are here today, able to execute what we are executing and impart that which we have learned.
All right. So we are saying, if you are drifting, it is not the final blow. You can reconnect, and we have given some tips as to things that you can do to reconnect. One of the other things we want to say is that find a list of things that you both want to accomplish. So at the big 2022 is going to commence not long from now. You can sit down and begin to say, for 2022, we want to travel through the island of Jamaica, because strangely, many people live here on this island, but don't know the island very well. So we want to do some things, or we want to travel next year. Two of you sit down and come up with a list of things that you can do over the next 12 months and do them together so that you can reconnect.
Yes, that is very, very, very important. Travel together. I even though I travel so many times, I really don't even like height. I remember one time Bishop and I were coming from Texas, and there was this turbulence, and I like to sit beside him. He's so composed when he's traveling. He don't make a thing about him. I'll be there watching out for everything. Just read or him fall asleep. But I like to travel with him because it kind of allow me to feel a little safe, you know, and doing things together, as Devon said a while ago, is really necessary. Friend, brethren and friend, takes it from me. When you work together, it will allow you to grow together. Please, I am saying to those who are going to get married, grow together. Don't allow your spouse to grow away from you. I shared my experience earlier when I'm in this program, when I tell you my husband and I decided that we were going to have children, but I said, honey, go on, study. I can't have children anytime, but we can study anytime that you want to study. So talk together, work things out together, do things together so that it can work. Even having a little picnic, carry one piece of towel, go throw down in a grass, even if you don't have much, mix up some sugar and water or whatever. And if you can afford it, well, then you go to the hotels, go to the most luxurious place that you can go to. It is not everybody is going to be able to afford it. But however, don't look on the Joneses. See the little things. One of these days you'll be able to do bigger things. All right?
All right. I want to, so we can disconnect intellectually, physically, and sexually. Now I want to it's 18 minutes to 9, so I want to touch on this, how to connect with your spouses sexually, because when that is missing a marriage, the marriage is on the sure path of death. and you don't want your marriage to die. If sex is missing in a marriage, your marriage is dying, and you don't want your marriage to die. No, so how do you connect with your spouses sexually? No, I know that we have adults online. I am taking it for granted that all the persons online are over 18. Now, if you are looking for ways to connect, to reconnect sexually with your spouses, try the following. Lots of foreplay. See how long you can truly pleasure each other before just having to have sex together. For a lot of women, foreplay is paramount to their overall sex experience. So take your time. Men, if our spouses, if we are disconnected sexually, lots of foreplay. Phyllis is going to comment on that from the woman's perspective.
Yes, it is very necessary that it is, I like to use my husband's term, slam bam.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Nobody wants to do that. So what you need to do, as he said, foreplay a lot. And not only that, sometimes the man would ejaculate and come before the woman. Don't bother say, all right, well, me satisfied. So I'm not busy with she can't stay over there. So no, not at all. You have to find ways to ensure that your partner is comfortable. You cannot be satisfied and gone to your bed, go sleep. Because we know that after that, in most cases, it's like therapy. It's like you take sinus pill, you're going to sleep after. But you cannot do that if your partner is not satisfied. Ensure that both of you, you're not in it all by yourself. Selfishness cannot run in marriage. I grew up, as I told you, with 8 siblings, all girls. One of the things I have learned is that it doesn't matter how small, especially my father, if he had one dumpling, and even though we got our dinner, he is going to still leave a little piece for everybody. So I have grown up in a situation where I learned to share. I am free-handed. I'm very kind because that is how I saw my parents. No, you can't be selfish in the marriage. You are thinking about yourself. I am satisfied, as I said before, sexually. So I don't care about my husband and can stay over there. No, you have to find ways. Both of you are in it together. When you get into marriage, very selfishness. Call funeral service with selfishness and throw it away. Bury it. Because you are no longer by yourself. It is now both of you together. If you are going to have selfishness in the middle, then like you have 3 fingers, here is selfishness in the middle, then there's something separating both of you. You cannot. You have to take selfishness out and work together. Work together. And don't be afraid if you find out that your wife is selfish, where she doesn't share, or you find out that your husband is selfish and he doesn't share. It's not gonna hurt if you said, honey, couldn't you give me a piece? Or it's not gonna hurt if my husband said to me, you couldn't leave a piece for me. Let us try to work together to make the marriage work. Sometimes it just gets in my head. Sometimes, yes, as somebody before talk about, what if you alone pushing and the person up? You know, if you know, one of the things I have learned, you see, if you watch the things that dead people don't do, you don't do anything. There are times when I am an outgoing person. I have to check up on everybody in the whole world to see if everybody is all right. That's how I am. But the day I stop and let me see many times and see who does it, nobody. What if I said, well, may I do it all the time? Sometimes you think that everybody is in it and doing it because you are doing it. But the day you stop and watch, you find out that day that nobody even call and check up on you. to find out if you're okay. Don't stop. I don't stop. In many occasions, I am pushing the fire. Sometimes people don't even check on me. But I keep doing what I know I need to do because I am comfortable doing what I need to do to make others satisfied.
All right. So we are saying that before sex, a lot of foreplay, and that is going to minimize the challenges that Phyllis mentioned. A man ejaculating ahead of his wife having an orgasm. Now, when that happens, you've got to be careful. You've got to learn, and the older men have to teach the younger men how to do these things. If you are good at foreplay, you will minimize that risk, gentlemen. So lots of foreplay before actual entry. Now, let me respond to this question before I go on to talk about how to connect sexually. What's your view on masturbation in marriage? I hear that when men masturbate, they go longer with their wives. Have you heard that, Phyllis? That when men masturbate, they go longer with their wives?
To each their own, because you have to think about that. Probably in that person's case or cases, that might work for them. In another case, it doesn't work. So we really don't want to pin it down and say, well, this is it. It depends on the person. Probably that works for them. Probably it doesn't work for another person.
All right, my general view on masturbation is that Christians should try to, especially Christian single men, should try to stay away from masturbation. It's a sign that there are some serious sexual problems. If you are going to be masturbating, then in my own thinking, you have got to be thinking about somebody. Am I right? And the Bible says, if you look at a woman and lust after her, you have committed what? You have committed fornication. You have lusted in your heart. So my own thinking is that as believers, Christian believers should stay away from masturbation. Now, for those who are married, you should be having sex with your wives and not masturbating. All right? You should be having sex with your wives and not masturbating. So lots of foreplay if you want to reconnect with your spouses sexually. Then I'm also recommending play games in your bedroom. For some fun in the bedroom, you can play strippers in the bedroom. You don't have to be so holy that you can't take off your clothes in the bedroom. You can play strippers in the bedrooms. Treat me, somebody wrote in the chat. Yes, you can play it in the bedroom. It will help you to reconnect sexually. Because if you disconnect sexually from your spouses, then something is wrong. It's either that you're physically sick or you're looking at somebody outside. Are those two extremes? Yes, Pastor?
I'm not sure if some people know what is strychnine.
Strychnine, tell them for me, Phyllis.
It's a card game. A deck of cards where you play, we call it tree. There are different some things that you can play with it. And I don't know if, for example, because it's quite a while I haven't played it, like queens, like for example, your partner might have a queen, all right, and you might have to play two to that. So when that person put the two or a king, 3 or 4, then your part, for example, if Devon plays a queen and I have to take 2 from my pack, it makes my pack less. And if every time he does not, he makes my pack gets lesser.
Then you have to take off your clothes.
Yeah, wait, no, just lesser unless or until the last of it, where he takes the last card. So if I am the person who he has taken the last card, then I am the one who is supposed to strip.
All right, so we have to do some of those things in the bedroom. There's a question in the chat. Read it for me, Phyllis.
What if you, what would you say to a wife who feels insecure about her body? I want to answer that. And I know Devon will answer. For the husband, you have to help her to appreciate her body. For example, she doesn't want to. At some point, she's going to do it. No, you have to say, oh my God, honey, your skin is beautiful. Your breast is just neat, or whatever you want. Find something that will make that person appreciate their body, even if because it's not everybody's shape good. You know, you hear some people say, oh my God, when some people take their clothes off, they are ugly. But guess what? For me, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You no matter what nobody wants to say, that's your queen, that's your king. So if it is your queen and your king, you are going to find something that you appreciate. Just allow the person to help their person to appreciate their body. Tell them how beautiful they are. They are even more beautiful than having on clothes or something. Do something that will make them feel good about themselves.
The other person, you should make your spouse, you should do things and say things that make your spouse understand that you appreciate them as they are. You appreciate their body. Darling, your body, when I look at you without clothes, I can't even stay in my bed. You got to tell them some nice things about their body. Let them know that, and we have all adults online. Let them know that them body turn you on. Let them know, darling, when I see you without clothes, you turn me on. Tell them that and make them know that. There are some questions in the chat. What are techniques that unmarried persons can do to take their minds off sexual activity? Phyllis is going to respond to that.
No, I'm not saying everybody should do like I did. But when I told you I got saved very young, I know it's very young, but in my teens, I got saved. No, when my sexual drive became unruly, one of the things I had to ask God to do was to take it. But no, you have to be careful. You can't tell God take it and not tell him what to do with it. Lord, keep it for me until I am ready. Because if you tell God take it, it might be a death sentence. You might not get it back. But you need to just say, God, I am asking you to keep my body under subjection. Lord, show me what I need to do. And I can tell you, God is true to his words. When that was happening to me, God really kept my body. There were times I wonder if I was a male or a female. I'm just not that. He took the urge from me and he kept it. No, when I was courting, it allowed my feeling to come back. And other things you can do. Find. I used to go to camp. Every summer I am going to camp. I got myself involved in activities. There are so many activities that you can get involved in. Yes, you would say that, but when I get involved in all these activities and I come home, here is the urge again. Ask God, as I said, to keep it for you. He is the only safe keeper. He's not going to trouble it and keep it for you. And anybody can go to keep it. God, keep your urge. He will. Ask him, pray about it. He did it for me and he will do it for you.
One of the things I'd say to you is that the Bible says, be renewed by the transformation of your mind. Keep your minds on the things of God. Pray, fast, read the word, digest the word. Allow the word to become a part of you. Because I think somebody said it on the program last night that sex is in the mind. If you can control your mind, then you will be okay. And be careful of what you put inside your mind, and how, if you are going to have relationships with the opposite sex or even with the same sex, because in the body of Christ now, or in church, same-sex thing is becoming an issue. Girls are troubling girls and boys are troubling boys. So you have to just be careful how you interact and interface with persons.
And one of the other things I would say, don't put yourself in any trap. We are not irons. We have emotions. Try to keep away from persons by yourself. Don't lock up in anywhere with nobody by themselves. You have to protect yourself, you know, because especially the fact that you are a Christian and you are not sexually involved, your emotion sometimes is very high. So don't bother come try find behave like you're no iron man or no iron woman. Those are things that I try to keep myself away from, because I never really wanted to be untrue to God. And I am not going to say one of the things I like to do is to bring the balance. There are people who are not strong sexually, they're emotion weak. And so you have to ask God to help you. And I am not going to say, oh yes, well, because I am now grown and I never used to have those feelings. I used to have those challenges too. And one of the things I think as Christians and as leaders, we are not true to ourselves. We allow people to feel that, okay, it was always like this, because we get older now. We bash the young people. We bash those who are having these issues and would drive them away to go pray. Come on, it's a real thing. While we need to spiritualize things, we also have to think that it is reality. People have emotion. When we go up there, they say you eat salt. So the fact that you are eating salt, you have urges. So come on. I don't know how true that is, but come on. We have to be real. We have to be real as leaders. Don't ignore these things that make it feel like it is all speaking in tongues and praising the Lord. When you stop speaking tongues, when you finish praising the Lord at church, you have your issue out there to deal with. These are the things that we really need to deal with as leaders, and stop allowing them to become taboo as though we never. There were times when I was much younger and I used to wonder about some of the leaders if they really had urge, because how they behave is like these things never cross their path. But as I grow, I understand that we have emotion. We are emotional beings, and these things are going to affect us. And I really appreciate the persons who are able to post in the chat what they are going through. They are real issues. But I can say the fact that God kept me, He can keep.
All right, here's a question in the chat. What if one person wants to include masturbation and not the other? I have known of a case one spouse was uncomfortable about it, but kept on pushing the other to include it in their marriage. How would you address that situation? Phyllis is going to answer that.
In those situations, as I said, these are issues that we really need to deal with before we get into marriage. Third party is always necessary. And when I say third party, in counseling, these are things that we need to open. And I will say it again, it is not everybody who is able to deal with counseling, because they don't deal with issues like this. No, as you said, if one keep pushing it and the other is not comfortable, we have to learn to be sensitive to each other. No, I am not comfortable with that. It's not that I don't feel comfortable. I don't think you should keep pushing it. Work it out. If it is whatever is to happen in your marriage will happen, right? If I am not comfortable with it, with some things, give me some time. Give me some time. Don't push it down my throat. Allow me to really process it. Don't continue to do it, because if you keep pushing me, you might just turn me off, right? The thing to do is to say, well, honey, this is what I like, all right? I might say this is not what I like, all right? As a man or as a woman, all right, we sit down and we work it out. I don't really want to do that. Don't keep pushing it. Whatever is to happen will happen. You keep pushing it will create problems.
All right. My general response, when people are married, there should be an openness in the bedroom. Whatever happens in the bedroom is between the spouses. And I think that for instance, if in this case it is the man that believes that masturbation can take place, he doesn't have to push it. You have to just be technical, know what you are doing and get around to it, so that it doesn't appear as if you are coercing or forcing your wife to do it. You have ways of doing things. What you want is the end result. So if you want the end result, you have to be very, very slick about it so you can get it done. You don't have to appear like you are forcing the person to do it. And if you want to please each other, at the end of the day, it might end up happening. And broadly, I would say, when it comes to marriage, whatever people does in the confines of their bedroom is really their business. It's not ours. All right? Somebody else asks a question. What if one spouse no longer finds the other spouse sexually attractive, maybe due to changes such as pregnancy, weight gain, or even weight loss? Phyllis?
All right. Let me deal with it, and especially pregnancy. It is not like before. We realize that our pregnant mothers are dressing real sexy these days. First time is this big old dress you are wearing. Pregnancy is not a death sentence, and I believe that you still need to look attractive. Your spouse might not want to see you in that light, but I am saying to them, no. When we got married, I never always had a big belly before me. And you need to understand that I did not give myself a big belly by myself. Both of us had sex and I become pregnant. No, it is your duty as the man to make sure that I am comfortable. No, when a woman is pregnant, there are a lot of discomfort. Don't bother leave and go to somebody else because me pregnant. No, I didn't do it by myself. We both work it together. So now you as a man, while I have a responsibility to make myself still looking very nice and not drop off a shape, the man need to find a way to make your wife comfortable, because in these days, sometimes you of yourself as a pregnant mother do not find yourself looking so attractive anymore. No, even though this did not mention, I remember after I had my first child, my clothing couldn't fit me again. I felt depressed. I remember one time I put on something because me a hot girl from before me born, and until till now. When we went, I think we were living in Westmoreland, and when I put a dress on, I realized this not cut it. We had to walk in a store and get something better, because I don't like to look popped down. So I'm saying to the men who are online, who might be, or I shouldn't say might, who is thinking of having children, when your wife is impregnated, their belly is not going to remain flat. The child is going to grow. And even those who are still going through it, no, make your wife know how attractive they are. I want to see the other part of the question. Due to the changes such as pregnancy, weight gain, or even weight loss. No. Yes, when we got married, I might have the cocoa buckle shape where I was very slim. No, probably it could be contentment. It could be that I'm eating more. No, what both of us need to do is to say, boy, honey, I think you're putting on a little too much weight. What can we do to make you look a little like where you used to be? And also, remember, you are growing in age. The more you grow in age, sometimes some people get fatter, some have big belly. So we work it together. When we did marry to you, Me never have no spot. Me never have no tattoo. No, on my feet, the microbes veins are there. No, nobody gonna say, boy, you know, look so attractive anymore. When you get me, I was attractive. My skin did clean and me did pretty. Because me start having children, there are changes that are going to take place. Some get skinny, all right, slim, weight loss. It is the same person. It's not that they have changed. If you are a man that loves a woman who have a little weight, then probably jump in the kitchen and do something that will help them put on a little more weight. Or if, for example, they are too fat, find ways. There are so many things. A lot of shakes that people can use to help them to shed some of the weight.
All right, thank you so much, Phyllis. And one thing that we all have to remember is that we are all aging. Each year we grow older. And when we grow older, our body changes. We have to understand that. And we have to, I want to implore us to be disciplined. One of the things that affects people in marriage is indiscipline. Somebody wrote in the chat earlier, protect the ear gate and the eye gate. Watch your eyes, what they see. Men, keep your eyes. I heard a pastor saying one time that he is a one-eye man. Keep your eyes at one place and be disciplined, because your spouse is changing. And if you leave your spouse and go to somebody else, that person is also going to change. What is going to happen when that person changes and you yourself, you are changing? When that person changes, are you going to still change spouse? So you are going to continue to change all the days of your life. We cannot operate in that way.
You know, that sometimes I think some of us are so unfair. No, and I say that because before we get to where we are at, I was the most beautiful person. You were the most handsome person. Now things are changing. You are looking over the fence. Come on, we need to work together to make it work. You need whatever you need to do to make me look good. Do it. And whatever I need to do to let you look good, then you must do it. So we have to work together. I was beautiful before. Yes, things change. I'm still beautiful. Yes, my old appearance might be getting older, but I still need to have that beautiful thing about me that permeate my being and even the atmosphere.
All right. We are still answering questions from the chat, and we are up after 9 o'clock. So let me read this one. Before I read, there is one that says, I think that is childish and immature. And I would ditto that, because if you are with a woman and you are going to be wanting to leave her because she got pregnant and there is change in her body, it is immature and really, really childish. And I want to go back to protect your eye gates and your ear gates. People who are not married, watch what you see and watch what you hear. My wife used to say in the early days of our marriage, when we are where single people are, let us be careful what we do and what we say in their presence, as we can severely affect them. We are our brother's keeper. And here is a question. It says, I have a friend who is presently facing a crisis in her marriage. She is in her early 20s and her husband late 50s. That means this man is some 30 odd years older than this girl. Since marriage, a couple of times they have sexual intercourse. For the last 3 years, she have no children. Now her husband is sick. She feels she wants to get out of the relationship. I try to encourage her to seek counseling. Really, of a fact, she doesn't want him to know she's discussing it. I do feel her pain. How do you deal with such a situation? One is a Sunday worshiper. The other is a Sabbath. They have many issues. Phyllis?
Wow. I go back to the point where counseling is necessary. And not just counseling, but honesty is necessary. Why? Because the persons who are counseling need to allow them to understand the age disparity. No, she is in her 20s and he's in his 50s.
Late 50s.
Late 50s. That's really, really, really a barrier as it relates to age. Somebody, I think, should have helped them before it got to this point. Because you have to think, this man is in his late 50s and she's just in her
early 20s.
Early 20s. No, that is very hard. Very hard. They don't have children. So you have to think now, all right? They are just what? 30 years.
Over 30 years.
Over 30 years. You have to think about the fact that when this man gets into his late 50s and I am just in my 20s. No. How that work? Even if that girl should get pregnant, she's going to end up at some point as a single parent. These are the things. Don't be afraid as a counselor, or even if it is your friend, to send them to counseling and to honest people who will sit and tell them the truth before their eyes. You are not making the decisions for them because you can't. What you need to tell them, think about it. You are in your 50s. She's in her 20s. How is this going to work? It is difficult. If it is 10 years or so, it's not all that bad, right? Because I remember my father was 10 years older than my mother, and it worked. But when you have to be 30 years, that's not serious. That girl needs a lot of support.
And I tell you something, we have to all understand that when a man gets into his 50s, sexually he's declining, and you have to appreciate and accept that. A girl in her 20s really starting, is really peaking. So when he's going to be 70, she's just going to be in her early 30s. That's really not such a nice thing, because as it is now, this man cannot service this 20-year-old girl sexually, and it is creating pressure on her. She doesn't have a child yet. It is creating serious pressure. I am not even sure what can happen, but there are serious challenges in this marriage. The man is sick, so I really need to go to the doctor and ask the doctor to help him, because sometimes doctor can give some kind of temporary fixture. So clearly can't sexually satisfy her in any way. So that's very challenging.
As Devon said, that girl is just in her peak. When you're getting up to 30, 40s, they are just in your peak. So when he is not able to satisfy her sexually, she's under punishment. So that is very hard for her. So that person who is that person's friend, support. The only thing I can say, give support.
Right. Well, it says she's getting counseling, but not both of them together. She's getting counseling, but not both of them together. Even if they're not getting it together, he should be getting some counseling at this time, because it must be burdening him. I have a 20-year-old chick and I can't service the chick. Then somebody else is going to service the chick for me. And that is the reality. So that is pressuring him at this point. And somebody else wrote, it begs a question as to who were their advisors in the early days. It's rough. I want to say something here, that many times when people come to get married and you point out things to them me know that, pastor, but me, go ahead. So sometimes the counseling not going to deter them. They are going to do what they have to do anyhow. I wouldn't be shocked if this were pointed out to them before the marriage. I would not be shocked. From my own experience, many people come to me and want to get married. When I point out certain things to them, they say, no, pastor, me can manage that, me can deal with that. And then go get married, and 2 weeks after, 3 weeks after, a short time after, they come back and there are some problems. So I don't want to lay any blame at the feet of their advisor before marriage.
But you see, even so, if they decide to go ahead, the fact is that if the onus is on them, if the advisor gives I believe the advisors need to be open to them. Let them know the consequences. If I let you know the consequences and you go ahead, then the onus is on you. But I said that because I don't know if I am judging from my perspective. We went to counseling, and a lot of things that we are open to, we were not told. And I would consider that was a prominent person who you would consider who would have known. But it is as we go, we recognize that a lot of things we were not. I don't even remember some of the things that we were counseled about. So some people don't really do a good job. I am not that I am laying the blame totally at the advisor's feet, but some of them ought to be blamed, of course, because some of them really are not, I wouldn't even say professional, don't really know what to do in these instances. So themselves sometimes skirt around the situation, and it really is of no help.
All right. Somebody else says there's a lot of issues here. Some compromise is going to have to happen for this to work. Some kind of trade-off will have to happen for this to work. I remember a young lady came to me once. At that time, she was 34, and the gentleman was 75, and she was thinking of getting married to him. So I was very, very frank with her. I said, why am I hold for money? And she said, yeah, no, pastor, because I'm hold for children. And there's a lot of squabbling about estate. So I asked, does he have a lot of money? If you are going to because people go into marriage for all kinds of reasons, Some people just enter it for security, not necessarily for sex. Some people enter it for security. And probably if I were in another forum and if I get this gentleman to talk to, I would say something to him that I probably will not say on this platform. But if that gentleman comes to me, I would say something. Because can I tell you something? You don't have to have insertion for people to be in a male inserting his penis in a female's vagina for them to be sexually satisfied. There are other things that can be done. I want to quickly, because we are way past 9 o'clock, I want to quickly give some other things that we can do to reconnect sexually. We talked about foreplay, playing games in the bedroom, and I want to say a little piece of quickie. Sometimes there is nothing hotter than that. I want you right now, take your clothes off. So sometimes you have to just go in and say to your wife, I want you right now, take off your clothes. And you have to go in there naked and say, take off your clothes and take a little piece of quickie, hot and fast and quick. And that will help you. Surprise each other. A night at the hotel, when you arrive, your spouse is already naked or is in some kind of outfit that catches your eyes. I have a friend that tells me that when his children are not home, when he take off his clothes and gate, that is it. Him leaving clothes and door until him go get him children, then him staying the whole time naked. The other thing, have sex in another room. So just don't stay in your bedroom. Have sex in all the rooms in the house. When the picnic they're not around, go in their rooms and have sex. There is nothing wrong with that. So that you can reconnect. Make your lives full of joy. Make your lives full of happiness. So you see, anyhow the fire out in your sex life, your marriage is going to be finished, and you don't want to finish. So you have to do anything and everything to keep the fire burning. We have a little song that we used to sing when I was a boy at church. Keep the fire burning, burning. Keep the fire burning, burning. Keep the fire burning by the power of God. Married people, keep the fire burning. Don't make the sex fire out. If the sex fire out in your marriage is about to die and you don't want it to die. Church people no go on like you don't love sex. Some church people go on like so them no like sex. Like sex a bad something, but enjoy your sex life. I'm going to have Phyllis making the final comment and then we hand back to Apostle Kelly. Phyllis?
All right, none of us want to preside over the death of sex. We want to ensure that it remains alive. God sends it here, or God creates it for us to enjoy it in a proper way, in a legal way as it relates to marriage. So I am saying, if it reached to a point where your husband or your wife is unable to perform, find ways, man. There are many, many ways that you can find to keep the fire burning. All right? We want to ensure, as I said before, don't preside over anything that is dead. Make sure that you rekindle the flame. God bless you.
All right. Thank you so much for listening and for the varying comments. You have a great evening and we look forward to talking again. You can always connect with us through Ariel Family Church of Love or through our Tehillah Life Ministries page. God bless you richly and make sure that you enjoy your sex life. Church people should enjoy their sex life. A man told me one time, I don't know if it's true in telling him, say if God create anything sweeter than sex, him keep it for himself. All right? God bless you richly. You have a great evening.